Hey, what's going on? It's Rick here, and it's time for another edition of the Weekly Wrap. Hey, thanks again for tuning into the Weekly Wrap. And this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to kind of go in real quickly here with this week's because I've been preparing for E3 that takes place next week. So a bit of a quick weekly wrap this week. Let's go ahead and start it off by talking about E3. Now, remember, you guys can catch all of the information that I'm going to be sharing right here on my YouTube channel. I'll be posting videos, but at the same time, if you really want to kind of have the real-time experience, follow me over on Twitter. You're going to see tweets come out from me from the show floor there, as well as photos and small videos as well. And then you can also head on over to metagamers.com and hit up the forums as well. So that's forums.metagamers.com. So I'm going to have a bunch of different avenues for you guys to check out. And by the way, I've also set up a SoundCloud. So soundcloud.com/metagamers, and I'll be providing audio updates there as well. All of this stuff has been posted on my metagamers.com website, so you can follow along there and get all of the details as it goes down. Now, this week's news, I'm going to simply start it off and end it at the same token with Xbox One. A lot of information came out about Xbox One this past week, and if you guys remember about 2 weeks ago when I provided an update, I think it was either in one of my weekly wraps or it could have been in my thoughts on the Xbox One, I indicated that I believed that the Xbox One was going to require a connection at least once every 24 hours. Well, this past week, Microsoft has confirmed that. So I was able to kind of put my impressions out there, and sure enough, they've confirmed it this week that you will need to maintain a connection once every 24 hours. If you do not, then what's going to happen is you won't be able to play any of your games or do pretty much anything else with that console. Now, some people might state most people have an internet connection nowadays. I tend to disagree. I think that we are still in an age where, yeah, a lot of people have connections, but there's plenty of areas that are remote that just don't have these connections. So Microsoft's kind of putting a big bet out here. And then, of course, we talk about military as well. There's a lot of people out there in the field that don't have access to a connection. And what are these guys going to do? Now, there has been hint that there could be a solution for those individuals. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm tending to think that they might be jumping the gun a little bit on this with this. You must maintain a connection every 24 hours. Now, couple of other things that they talked about here. They talked about the used game market and would you be able to sell or buy used games? Would you be able to trade? And would you also be able to, let's say I'm done with the game, I want to give it to one of my friends or family members. Could you do that? Well, they are claiming that as far as giving or gifting a game, you can do that, but you can only do it one time. And so there's something within the software that's going to track that and be able to regulate it so you can only do it once. As far as trading or as far as selling, well, apparently that's the same thing. There's something within the software that's going to regulate that, but at the same time, they're putting that in the developers' hands, Microsoft has stated. So it's going to be up to the developers whether or not they're going to allow you to sell your game as a used game. And even if you do that, they've also stated there's going to be a fee to activate it. So we're kind of going down this path where there's a lot of controls around the games. And whatever happened, if I'm going to say this myself, to just being able to buy a game system, buy your game and play it. Seems like those days are starting to drift away. And I'm not so sure I like that. I like the idea of being able to just to buy a dedicated game box, buy the games and play them. Well, things are changing. And to me, personally, I think things are looking a little bit more appealing on the PS4 side of the fence. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out at E3. Remember to stay tuned because I'm going to have a lot more details. This is just some pre-E3 thoughts. We'll see how this all plays out next week when we hear a whole heck of a lot more at the big convention. Now it's time for the question of the week, and last week I asked you what were you looking forward to in your summer movies, and Joe Blow, nice name by the way, actually says he's looking forward to World War Z. It looks like a thrill ride, and yeah, I've been seeing a lot of commercials for that, and it certainly does. It looks pretty interesting. Now this week's question of the week stems from some news that I just saw within the past day, and that is Apple has filed for a patent on the name iMoney because they are going to be looking at doing digital currency in the cloud. And so my question to you is, what are your thoughts on this? And it's not just for Apple, but just in general, the concept of having your funds or your money in the cloud, all stored in the cloud, to where you can then basically kind of use your phone to pay for things and stuff like that. I know we've got some of that today. I use the Starbucks app on my phone, and I kind of use PayPal to fill the funds, and then I pay from there. But this takes it a step further. Does it eliminate the banks at this point? And is there interest rates and things like that? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Is this a bad idea? Is it a good idea? Is it too soon? What are your thoughts? Leave your comments down below, and I may feature them in next week's episode. That is going to do it for this week. As I said, I've been preparing for E3, so a lot of my time has gone in that direction, and you can expect a lot of details coming out of E3 next week right on this channel, as well as all of my other formats that I told you about. Be sure to check out metagamers.com, my forums, and of course my Twitter. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.